All right. What up, people? What up? What's popping? We are back with RKT appraisals in the building. Rashidi and Kayleen, what up? What up? What up? What's going on? What's going on?
How you doing, fellas? How you doing?
What up? What up? What up? Man, so today, real quick, we wanted to do a quick thing on, real estate and how people could step their game up and get, some paper doing some real estate stuff. So y'all just go in, letting people know what they got to do, what's going on. So what's like some of the first things that people need to know. First of all, let's act like we're all, we don't know nothing about real estate. We don't even know what that is. Like, what is real estate and how can people make money off it?
Yeah, so Rashidi with RKT Appraisals, and I got our co-founder on there, Kayleen Smith, with us. But yeah, real estate pretty much is just buying property, buying land and property, real estate. That's pretty much what it is. Houses, apartment buildings, condos, wherever there's land, you could buy that, put something on it. That's what it is, real estate. Buying anything that's sitting on anything.
Nice. And so let's say a person is like working a 9 to 5 and they want to get into the real estate game. What are like some of the first things that they can do to make it happen? Or, what is the steps they got to take to go about it?
Well, the first step is really just making sure your credit is worthy to get into the real estate game, making sure you get to a minimum point. Which is, of course, something RKT does. But, like I said, making sure your credit's ready. What does that mean? That means if you have at least a 580 credit score, pretty much there's a bank out there that will lend you some money to be able to try to get a home. So that's actually the first step, making sure your credit's ready. Like I said, minimum score 580. You may not want to start there because that means interest rates are higher. What are interest rates? It means it costs you more money to buy that house, in simple terms. Right. But yeah, that's the main step, is getting to that point of having a credit score and contacting a bank and sitting down and talking to the bank and saying, hey, based on my credit score, can you approve me? How much can you approve me for? Then once they establish all that, they look at, who do you owe? Just keep it simple. You got student loans, you got any car payments, who do you owe? They calculate, see how much you can afford, and they say, hey, based on how you live in, we'll give you $150,000, look for a house. And at that point in time, you got to look at where you live at. I mean, you should have looked at where you lived at before, but the point is, at that point is real. Look at where you live at, see what the going rate for average house in the neighborhood that you want to go into. It may be a scenario where you see a house in the area, they start at $250,000, and you only got approved for $150,000. You may have to go back to the drawing board and figure out, what you want to do to get that additional funds to get to that point, which there's ways around it in real estate. That's the good thing about real estate. But the point is, those are kind of the steps. Get the minimum credit score to 580 if you want to start that low. Not recommended, but you can. Once you get there, call some banks, see who gives you the best interest rate based off your credit score, see what they approve you for, then look at houses or condos, depending on what you want, and see what you see what you want to get, and then get a realtor. Then that's easy to find. You can Google realtors, that type of thing. With our company, we refer realtors. But the point is, you get a realtor, and then now they start looking, and that's a search. You get your first house, whether you want to live in it or whether you want to get a multifamily to invest and live in it. Whatever route you want to go, that's pretty much the process. It's that simple to start off the process, at least.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so how much do, like, let's say, for example, like you want to invest. I mean, you want to put some money on the house, right? I know the house loan only costs $150,000. So once you put the $150,000 down, how do you pay the rest off? Do you just immediately try to get the tenants? Do you gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the process of that? You know what I'm saying? Because I know some people, they might be like, okay, I got the money. I did this stuff. I got the money. I put this money down on a house. So then what are the next steps? So how do I get the tenants? And if I can't get the tenants, and am I responsible for the mortgage every, you know what I'm saying? Like, how, and if I pay
that's all work.
Then what happens? Yeah. How long can I not pay the mortgage before they take it? Like, what's all the situations with that?
Well, just like car payments, once you miss about 3 payments, they ready to repossess your car, just like repossess your house. Same concept to answer that question.
Right.
But
so if you don't have tenants, you are responsible for the mortgage. If you don't have tenants,
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And It's essentially where that example, Hashim made an example, Mr. Lucario, essentially, if you have 150, got approved for 150,000, essentially, down payment depends on what type of loan you get. If you have okay credit or decent credit, you get an FHA loan. Right. You could put down as little as 3.5% of that 150,000. So I don't have a calculator, but I think that's somewhere around like $8,000, something around that realm. So you're gonna need at least $7,000-8,000 as a down payment, just like you put a down payment on a car. Have that ready to go, and then at that point in time, they calculate what your mortgage is gonna be after that payment. Couple things go into that. The area at, what's the taxes for that city? They'll calculate that. But the point is, you're gonna need at least $7,000-8,000 for a down payment. Two more things you're gonna need money for. You're gonna need some money for what's called closing costs. Got to pay the lawyers. Got to pay the bank. Got to pay everybody that has a piece in the pie. That typically, depending on where you live at, ranges from $5,000 to $10,000. So now you're in a situation where probably about you're probably gonna need about $12,000 to put down. Then you got one more fee. You got your the appraisal fee where they see how much the house is worth. They charge you to do that. That could be anywhere from $200 to $500, depending on the area you're at. Then they got to inspect the house, make sure everything good. You have the roof is all right, everything. You don't move the house and it fall apart on you. So those fees come up to around anywhere from $500 to $1,000, depending on the area you live. So to answer your question is, you want to have, and again, this is all about where you live at, because if the areas where you live at, house is only $100,000, it's a lot less money, but we're at the 150 mark. But pretty much if you're looking at a house of 150, you're going to be looking to have about $10,000 to $12,000 saved up to be able to go forward.
Damn. Okay. And so we got a question that said, should you manage the property yourself or should you get a property manager? What's the thoughts?
I mean, to be honest with you, that's something where it's like anything else. If you're doing a multifamily, in a perfect world, you should get a property manager. But in the real world, no, you don't have money for a property manager. I'll be honest with you. The only time you need money for a property manager, anytime you definitely should have a property manager, should I say, is when you have multiple properties, because now you got to pay somebody else to maintain your property. In all reality, if you have a multifamily and you're living in on one side, at the end of the day, you're gonna manage your tenants. They're right next door. You can watch them. Why do you have to pay a property manager? Don't get me wrong. It's easier to get a property manager because they handle stuff where they have networking where they connect with plumbers and all that type of stuff. And so they have those people ready to go. So it's a seamless process. But reality situation is, if you're a landlord, instead of paying everybody to find somebody, you find them yourself. You go ahead and Google what's the best plumber and negotiate with them. You do all the legwork, but it makes more sense because you save more money instead of paying somebody else to do something you can do. And technically you only have one property to manage. So really the truth is you should just stick with no property manager if you only have one property.
Let me ask go ahead, Gailey.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, just to piggyback off what Rashidi was saying, you want the experience too. So that's another benefit of doing it yourself. Get the experience, of owning a home and, what it takes to upkeep and maintain a home, so you just want that experience in general.
That's crucial. I love that point, Katie. That's absolutely true, because you actually get firsthand experience to piggyback off what he's saying. So you know how much things cost. So this way you don't just get a property manager right out the gate and you just going off the prices he's telling you. You actually know how much everything costs. So this way you're always negotiating and making sure you're not getting jerked.
Right.
So now let's say the guy, the person has, they get the loan, they put the money down and all that other stuff. And let's say they're trying to get some tenants right now. Is there some type of law or something that says you can only charge a certain amount? You understand what I'm saying? So like, let's say I got a spot and I'm like, I want to charge them $5,000 a month to be in this place. Can I do that? Or is that not a thing?
There's no law. There's no law as far as rents. But the thing with rents is that you have to look at the surrounding area and keep the rents compatible, or not compatible, but you have to compete with the other people around you. You understand? Right. Say you get a condo in a building, right? And then most of the condos are going for, $1,500 a month. But you like, well, I put a hot tub in my condo and my condo got Fendi wallpaper and, I want niggas to pay $6,000 to live in my condo.
Right.
It's like, Okay, you could do that, and if you can find a tenant that values the Fendi wallpaper and the hot tub, you know, they might want to pay it. But if they look around and they see, well, I could get another condo that with just as much space minus the wallpaper, and I could pay $1,500 a month.
Right.
More than likely, they're gonna go to the other one. You understand? Like, shit, I'll just get a you know, my own hot tub, because I could buy my own hot tub, or I could get some, you know, some fake Gucci wallpaper and put it up myself. You know what I'm saying? And then I don't have to pay that extra a month. So the thing is, there's no laws with you know, no laws necessarily with rent. But you have to keep it. You have to be able to compete with the other people that are renting out properties in your neighborhood. But what I will say though is, in certain cities, if you own a large building with multiple units, right, you can't, once you set your rents, you can't like increase the rents at a certain beyond a certain percentage a year. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so for example, if you already at $1,000, the state might tell you that you can increase your rents on a yearly basis, but it can't go beyond a certain percentage. You know what I'm saying? So you can't go from, you know, 1,000 to 6,000 in 1 year. You gotta raise it incrementally. Now, if the tenants leave and then you renovate the spot and then you raise the rent because it's a newly renovated space, and because over the last couple of years rents have risen in the city, right, that your building is in, then you'll have people paying different rents. You understand what I'm saying? Because that happened to me. I was living in an apartment and I was paying $1,400, and then they tried to raise my rent to like something crazy, like something like $2,400 or something like that. But when I left, they renovated the shit. You understand what I'm saying? Right. And I realized that's why they was raising it, but I couldn't afford it anymore. So I bounced. I went somewhere else. Things there's no laws, but you have to stay competitive. And then once you have a tenant in there, you can't raise it beyond a certain percentage per year. Depending on
to piggyback, that was perfectly put, Miles. Yeah. And to give you exact numbers to follow what you said, most states is 3 to 5% of the rent. So most states, they can't raise it past 5% of what your annual rate is. And Miles brought up a good point, because at the end of the day, like he said, if you have a constant tenant, you can only go up to 3 to 5%. But perfectly what Miles said is, if that tenant leaves and you renovate it, or even if that tenant leaves and you just make minor touches, if the going rate in the area went up 30%, you can put that 30% on there. So it's perfect. So yeah, that to wrap it up is 3 to 5% on top of the rent on an annual basis, which is even more the reason of today's topic why you should go to real estate. Right. When you live in an apartment building, like Miles said, they raise your rent. In my last apartment, they raised my rent 5% every year. Every year my rent went up 5%. That add up. So if you're paying $2,000, 5%, that's $100 every year. If you stay there 5 years, that adds up quick. Right. More money. So and the reason real estate.
And to add to it too, that's why most lease agreements is for a year and probably at the most 2, because it has to do with the lease agreement as well, right? So if your lease is up, that's when they can raise the rent on you. You understand what I'm saying? But if you have a lease for 2 years, the first year you pay $1,000, and then maybe the second year they'll increase it by 3 to 5%. But the third year your lease is over and you never got with the landlord to sign a new lease, so you're living month to month. Now the landlord comes to you and says, "Yo, next month you're gonna have to be paying 3 G's," and you looking at him like, "What?" Right. The point is, he can do that because you have no lease now. You're living month to month, and white people just moved into the neighborhood, so everything's gentrified, and we got a bunch of Starbucks. We got a Starbucks on every fucking corner. So now I got to raise the rent, bro. Like I need to start getting more money because Becky and them is coming. You feel me? So these things happen where the rent get raised through the fact that your lease is up. You understand? And they can do that to you because things are changing in the neighborhood. A lot of times, like if you live in New York, you'll see so many different like condos and all these different buildings popping up all over the place. And what's happening is it's raising the value of real estate all around. You see what I'm saying? So that's why, So when you see things like that, that's a part of the reason why it's good to get into real estate. Because if you're in a fast moving real estate market, you could buy a house now that's worth 150, like we was talking about before, and then maybe in about 5 years, that same house will be worth 200. You understand? So you have 50,000 worth of equity in the house plus whatever you already paid into the house. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So if you try to sell it, now you bought it for 150, but now you could sell it for over 200. And plus, if you did things to the house, if you made improvements, if you built a deck, put a pool in the backyard, a fence, certain other amenities and things like that, now you can sell the house for a much higher price. And so that's called like long-term flipping, right? So you buy something, hold on to it for a while, you live there, you make improvements, and then you get ready to move, and now you can sell it and make a profit.
Wait. So let me get this straight, Miles.
Yeah.
So you can buy a house for 150,000. And maybe 5 years from now, it could be worth 200,000. So you make 50,000.
Yeah. Well, that don't always happen.
No. I did that strategically. Why I said that though, because that's literally how that happens. So I was asking you that, just messing with you. Like,
no. In theory, it can happen, but that's the theory. You understand? But it's not gonna happen in 5 years though. Listen, example. This
is where I'm gonna jump in with you on though.
Although it could though, like places like New York, places like Los Angeles, the Bay Area, certain other places like that, things can happen just like that.
So wait,
I'll one up you. I'll one up you on. Go ahead, Mr. Lokai, you gonna say something?
I'm confused. So when you say you're putting down 150,000, right? How much does the house actually cost though?
Oh yeah, no. It looks like Ms. Lokai is confused. No, it wasn't put down 150,000. The house costs 150,000.
The house is 50,000. So you're paying a mortgage that's worth $150,000.
Exactly. Okay, so the house 150,000. You're making payments to pay it off.
So the whole house is $150,000.
Yeah, the land and the house. Yes.
When you get the loan from the bank, how much are they giving you?
They're gonna give you 150,000.
150,000. Yeah.
And so then you got to pay back that 150,000 through the mortgage.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. So then now, what happens if you get someone to rent, right? Because this comes into how is a person making money though? Because like if I get the 150,000 right from the bank, put it on the house, I got to pay back the 150,000. If I rent to somebody, how much generally would be like the mortgage every month? And then how much should I charge the person for rent so I can make some money and then also get the mortgage?
Yeah, I'll give you some real numbers.
Right.
You know what I mean? I had a scenario where working with someone purchased a house at 250,000. You know what I mean? Their mortgage is probably right around $1,800 a month. You know what I mean? And essentially they live on one side. And this is called an owner occupied. That means the person buying the house lives on one side, rents out the other side for a 2-family house. That person mortgage like $1,800. On the other side is a 2-bedroom that can potentially rent up to $2,000 to $2,500 a month. It's up to you how much you want to charge. So let's be on the safe side. Say if you only rent out one side for $2,000, that's on the low end.
Right.
If your mortgage is only $1,800, you make $200 a month.
Right.
Here's the kicker. In that situation, technically, it costs you almost nothing to live.
Right.
Because if the mortgage is $1,800 and you get $2,000 from your tenant, you save $200. You get $200 profit in your pocket. Only thing you paying for on your side of the house is your cable,
right,
your light, and your water bill. That might be only $300 a month. So now, to get even deeper, instead of you just living in a regular apartment paying $1,000 a month, you're never getting back. Instead, it's only costing you $300 to live a month, which we multiply in math. I'm not that great in math, but roughly around, it costs you now $4,000 to live a year. And if you're making $30,000, $40,000 a year, that's a lot of change you saving in your pocket. So that's how you make money on the multifamily.
That's dope. That's dope. Because instead of fucking paying the rent somewhere else, you could just, have somebody else paying for the shit and you good.
Right. Exactly. You don't get any money back when you're paying rent. You're paying somebody else because they own it. To go even deeper, in a situation like that, on average, you get about 20 to 40% a rate of return on the house. What does that mean? That means at the end of the day, if say if you're paying, from a math standpoint, if you're paying a rent for $1,000, you're getting, 20% back on that. That's $200 a month you're getting back on the low end. That's if you don't have great credit, you have a high interest rate, you're getting back $200. So every time you pay, $1,000, you're getting back $200. So at the end of the day, you multiply that at the end of the year, you're getting something back. So even if it's just a single family home and you're not renting it out and you just living in it, at the end of the day, you're still getting back some money out of the money you're paying. So if you're shelling out $1,000, you're getting back at least $200 to $250 out of that $1,000. So in all reality, you're only paying $750 a month instead of $1,000. Where if you're paying rent, you're not getting no money back. You pay it, you cut the check, it's gone. You're never getting nothing back. But you own a house. All right, I paid $1,000 a month. All right, at the end of the month, they're giving you back kind of like a rebate, giving you back $250.
Right.
Boom, and that adds up and adds up and adds up. So either way you slice it, you can't go wrong of getting a home, whether it's a single family home or a multi-family home. So you can't go wrong either way you slice it. You're getting something back.
But I just want to say that there's a couple things. There's a few numbers that you got to look at when you're getting into home ownership that a lot of people kind of overlook, and it could mess up your bottom line once you get into a mortgage. So there's home insurance. That's something you got to look into. Insurance rates for different states, higher or lower, depending, right? You have some states that are suspect to extreme weather, hurricanes, different shit like that. You know what I'm saying? We got taxes. Property taxes are a ridiculous expense as well. Property taxes are super high in places like Jersey, large cities like New York. Property taxes are ridiculous. Like on a $200,000 house, you probably paying damn near $40,000 in taxes on the house. Like it's ridiculous. So you got that. I said insurance. I said taxes. The mortgage payment. And the thing is too, with all of these things that I'm talking about, you're gonna want to try to get with a lawyer that can put all of these expenses into one payment, and that's called escrow, right? So your taxes go in, your insurance goes in, and then the cost of the mortgage, meaning the money that you're paying back to the bank, goes into one lump sum payment, which includes the taxes and the insurance. You understand? So you're gonna want that. But then the other part of it is maintenance. Okay, that's something that we should always look at when we're looking at buying real estate. So sometimes you'll get lucky and you can find a decent house, but more than likely any house that you buy, unless it's a brand new built house, you're going to have to do some improvements. You're going to have to change a couple of toilets. You're going to have to paint something. You're going to have to, you're going to have to do something. You know what I'm saying? You have to change out some sheetrock. You might have to, redo the floors. Something you might have to pull up the carpet and redo the carpet. Right. So all of these things cost money. So what I would say to anybody that's trying to get into real estate, unless you know that you're because there's a whole bunch of other stuff. There's wholesaling, there's foreclosures, there's tax lien sales, and all this other type of stuff. But for the average person that's just straight up buying a house, you want to make sure you have a certain amount of you want to make sure you got money.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? You want to make sure you got some type of, don't be on no type of stuff where you run the numbers and you're just breaking even and you're like, oh, well, it's a good deal because I'm breaking even. Right. Nah. Because like what he was talking about with the having the renters and stuff like that. Now, if you can live free, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But because you still, all the money that you would have been paying in rent, then you could come up off of that if you need to make any improvements to the house and things like that. But you want to be able to put down a big enough down payment to make your mortgage as low as it possibly can be. And you still want to make a certain amount of money where if anything comes up, like if there's a hurricane that come through, if there's a fire, if there is if you got to fix a toilet, if somebody got kids and they putting holes in the wall or anything like that, all of these things come into play. You understand? When you're buying houses, when you're renting houses, when you're dealing with different people, and even that stuff that the kid was talking about with the property management, right? Sometimes you might want to use a property manager, but it has to make sense because I'll tell you this, property managers, they'll manage your property, but you have to pay them anywhere from like 7 to 12%. And that's 7 to 12% of the rent. You understand? you renting the place out for like $1,000. That's that's what
$100.
Yeah, that's like somewhere around $100. Plus, if it's something that needs to be fixed, they're gonna call you up and be like, hey, we got this, we got that. You understand? Because they're only managing the property, but if something actually breaks, you still got to come up off some bread to actually get the stuff fixed. Plus materials, and labor and everything like that. Mm-hmm. So real estate is great, but real estate is one of those things to me where you already gotta be like kind of not rich, but you gotta have some money.
So let me jump in there too, Miles. Yeah. So I'm gonna tweak everything you're saying.
Please.
So you're right, but the difference is though, what I'll say is though, you definitely don't want to be broke on your last dollar, but you don't actually need as much money as you think. So what you're saying was accurate, but at the same time, you don't have to have a lot of money to get a house. The reason why I say that, and again highlighting RKT and sit down talk with a consultant, is because at the end of the day, kind of the ways of saving up a whole bunch of money to be safe when purchasing a home, those days are kind of out of the window. Reason why? Life is just like the stock market, just like our last podcast. It's just like the stock market. It all fluctuates. What do I mean by that? When you're trying to buy a home, if you make a certain amount and the standard amount, and most people under 100K or so, you can if you're buying your first house, you get approved for what's called first time home buyers program and a down payment assistance. What that literally means is, depends on your state, but every state does it. They just have slight variation, but they give you the down payment if you qualify. What do you need? You need a certain credit score between a 620 and a 620. Once you get to that point, they give you the down payment.
And a what?
Between a 620 to 660. That's the minimum requirement for most banks. And you can always shop around and find out which banks and what each bank says. One bank might say you need a 620. One bank might say you need a 660. But the point is, once you get to that threshold, they'll go ahead and give you the down payment. So, and up, depending on the state, up to $10,000 to $12,000. So in some cases, all of the down payment. So you don't have to worry about having that extra $10,000. They roll it into a loan. Yeah, everybody's gonna say it's always a catch. The catch is that you're paying that $10,000 back over the life of the loan on a small percentage. But let's be honest here. That small percentage is like an extra $20 to $50 extra on your payment.
Right.
But you save that $10,000 up front. So if you don't have a lot of money, you can make it. Then on top of that, another reason, like I was saying before, how you got to pay the lawyers and all that type of stuff, they have what's called a seller's concession. All realtors know what that is. All banks know what that is. What that means is that you can go ahead and try to buy a house. You see a house for $250, and you and your realtor. That's why it's important you have a good realtor to negotiate. Another service RKT offers. We refer realtors. But the point is, you see a house for $250. You say, man, I don't got a lot of money right now to put down on this house. You got approved for the down payment. Boom, you don't have to worry about that $10,000. The $5,000 to $10,000 that costs to pay the lawyers and all these fees, you can say, all right, I'm negotiating with the other person I'm trying to buy the house from. It's $250. Sell the house for me to sell the house to me for $260 on paper. So what that does is, at the end of the day, that extra credit, it's literally a credit. So the house is $250. The person selling to you, can you sell it to me for $260 on paper? Right. Bank's okay with it, legit legal. It's called a seller's concession. Then that extra $10,000 pays for all the fees. So you don't have to worry about it. So now, in a great situation, and when I say great situation, it's doable. Get your credit where it needs to be. Get in that 620, 660 range. You can be in a situation where mathematically you only need $3,000 to buy a house. Now, of course, you don't want to only have $3,000, and the bank is going to want to see that, hey, if you come on rainy days, if you have at least 1 month to 3 months extra money in the bank to pay the mortgage if something happens. So they're going to want to see a little bit of money. But the point is, if you really put yourself in the right position and it's doable, if you have like maybe a little $5,000, $6,000 saved up, you could be in an ideal situation where you could have $10,000 and be comfortable. And even though you don't have a lot of money, because like you said, Miles, you got to pay for all kind of stuff, it's maintenance, all that type of stuff, but you have that little $5,000 cushion, then you could use that money that you have in reserve to pay those repairs and things like that. but I one up you one more. And this is why it's important to talk to people that's experienced in those situations and call RKT consultants again, RKT appraisals again. Reason being is that you can purchase what's called a home warranty. What does that mean? Like you said, Miles, you don't have enough money to take repairs. Man, if the fridge go, I can't repair it. That's what a home warranty is. A lot of people don't tell you about that because everybody busy trying to make money. The realtor making money, the bank making money. They don't tell you about what these home warranty. When you see those commercials, what a home warranty does, it covers your washer, your dryers, your boiler, things that heats the house. All those things, but it costs money. It might be $500 a year, but $500 a year if your washing machine goes, they give you a new one. $500 a year if your boiler goes that heats a house. That's an expensive piece of equipment. That's where it comes into play, where you said if you don't have enough money, that's why you don't want to just jump in a situation and be like, I'm broke. But the truth is, there's ways around that. You got to, warranties is just like insurance. You pay for that one fee, $500 a year. All you got to do is pay a copay, $50 or $75. They come in, they replace that piece of equipment. Of course, it's something else you got to pay for. But if you play your cards right, no, the truth is, you actually don't have to have that much money. You just have to be smart about what you're doing, talk to the right people, and cover yourself. And that's why it's always important to have insurance. And insurance is interconnected to everything. Credit's interconnected to everything. Getting your credit score to where it is and having the right interest rate. So the lower your payments are and the better interest rate you get, that's the lower the payments are. And you can use some of that money to pay for that home warranty. Which, like I said, if you don't got the extra $500 to even pay for the home warranty for the year, everything's payment installments these days. That's like $20, $25 a month. You can afford that. Point is, you can do it, Miles, but you got to be smart about it. Talk to the right people and make sure everyone is looking out for your best interest at all times. That's what it really boils down to be honest with you.
That's
I agree with everything you said. And the thing is, so I'm speaking for the people who are doing investments as well, because if you're just trying to get into a home, if you're just trying to own a home, then everything you're saying is hunky dory. Like, I feel you. Like, there's a lot of programs put into place for you to get you into a home. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just talking about, because somebody in there talked about investment property and owning multiple properties. Okay. So that's what I'm really talking about. Like, if you're trying to own multiple properties, or if you're trying to do investment properties, meaning that as soon as you sign the deal, you want to be making a certain level of return on your bread early. You understand? Not just to live there, but you're trying to, because even with investment property, it might take some time for you to actually get it rented out. If the place don't look good, you have to, because look, when you're just moving into a place to live there, as long as it's warm enough, you can live and be all right. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So what if the walls look dirty right now? So what if the carpet look kind of messed up right now? You can take your time and fix those things. You understand? But when you're doing investment real estate, you got to fix shit up front, because you want people to see the place and want to rent it out immediately. You understand? Right. Especially when you're dealing with a property manager or something like that. Property managers will come to your house and tell you, this place is not up to code. Like, I can't rent this place. You need to paint all the walls. You need to redo the carpet. You need to do this. You need to power wash the driveway, and you need to redo the landscaping and all. You know what I'm saying? All these different things you got to consider when you're taking it from just trying to get into your first house to wanting to to own multiple properties and investment and things like that. But either way, be smart with your money. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Make sure your credit score is decent, because no matter what you're doing, you want to have the lowest interest rate possible. You understand what I'm saying? And just so we could be clear on what that is, it's like, listen, it's like if the house in its entirety costs $100,000 and they say that, okay, you have a low interest rate, right? So what they're gonna do is, the lower your interest rate, they're gonna give you. The lower your credit score, the higher your interest rate is gonna be. Basically, they're saying, well, because you have a bad record of money management, we need to charge you more upfront on each payment. That's basically what they're saying. But when you have a high credit score, they're saying, well, you have a good record of money management, so we don't need to charge you so much upfront. So your interest rate is going to be a little bit lower, so your monthly payment will be lower. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the reason why, between real estate and credit, why it's so important for you to keep your credit score up, so your interest rates can be low. And there are other ways for you to pay off your houses faster. Like you can put extra money towards the principal and all these other type of things. You understand? So for example, let's just say your mortgage payment is $900 a month, right? But you expected to pay 12 and you already had $300 that was allocated every month for that. You could pay your mortgage, which is $900, and you could take $300 and put it directly on top of the principal. And what that does is it shaves off the cost of the mortgage over time, because you're making the amount of money that you owe the bank, you're making it smaller every month by $300. You understand? So that interest rate only can, it only can be so expensive over the course of the term of the mortgage.
Right. And I love it. I love it, Miles, because everything you said is perfect, and everything you said is 100% accurate. And you're absolutely right about the investment part. I like to use the analogy just like buying a car. Most people know about buying a car, and even if you don't, it is what it is. But it's just like buying a car. If you buy a brand new car, there's no maintenance that you have to do. If you buy a brand new car and you try to sell it right immediately, because everything's done, it's fresh tires, fresh everything, so you don't have to worry about no maintenance. But if you buy 2017 and 2012, you got to do some work for it before you can resell it. So if you need some new tires, you got to slap those on there. If you need a new windshield, you got to slap that on there. You got to make sure the headlights work and it's functioning, like you said, when it comes to up to code. So just like a house, all those things got to be up to code if you try to resell it and make some money on it. And I'm a visual person, so I want to visualize what you just went over, Miles, as far as numbers and interest rates. I got live numbers for you right now because I was prepared. At the end of the day, if you're buying a house for $300,000, and mind you, this is not necessarily counting the taxes in the area, but this is pretty accurate. If you're buying a house for $300,000 and you have a 620 credit score, in today's market, the interest rate is literally going to be about 4.3%. What does that mean? That means your mortgage payment is going to be about $1,194 a month. Those are real, down to the T, accurate numbers. If you have a 640 credit score and you get a mortgage, your interest rate is going to be about 3.8%. Your mortgage is going to go to about $1,118.
Wow.
I'm not great in math, but that's a $76 difference a month just by jumping up 20 points. Go further, 660, 3.37, $1,000.60. That's it right there. Let me skip because I'm not going to go through all the numbers. But if you have a 760 credit score, you can get an interest rate of 2.7%, which means that your mortgage would be $981. So literally, to piggyback off your point, Miles, why it's important is that if you have a 620 credit score, literally, if you're looking at a $300,000 house, your mortgage is going to be roughly $1,194. If you have a 716 above credit score, your mortgage is going to be $981.
That's crazy.
You do the math. That's $233 you save a month just on credit alone. Multiply 233 times the whole entire year. You're talking big money. You're talking about $2,500 you save a year. You multiply that $2,500 times 30 years on a mortgage. That's $76,000 you save over 30 years.
Dang.
That's part of your retirement plan right there. That's just interest alone. So that's just to visualize real numbers and put it to real numbers of how things really look. Why it's important, like you said, when it comes to interest rates, things like that.
And all this game, but man, I wish we had more time. But I know I got a meeting at 5. But and so again, let people know where they can find you, all that other good stuff, and all that other cool shit, so they can get down with the program. You feel me?
Yeah, definitely.
Everything
so it's www.
Go ahead, Kenny. No, I'm just saying, everything you just heard, you could definitely hear it again. You could email us, go to the website at www.rktappraisals.com. Call us at 973-420-5028. It is right there. We go over everything from credit repair, real estate, life insurance, whatever you want to know, we can talk about it when it deals to finances and the money. So, yeah, just wanted to say that.
Exactly. And the email address is rktconsultations@gmail.com. So rktconsultations@gmail.com. So like Kadeem said, go ahead and contact us, www.rktappraisals.com. Check out the site. Give us a call anytime. We handle all the above.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And thanks for everybody who's watching. Appreciate you guys in the chat. And we are out of here, people. We going.